Listen closely. Most people walk through life carrying a name, a story, a role, yet never touch the quiet truth moving beneath all of it. Beneath titles, beneath memory, beneath ambition, there is a current. It never stops. It moves while you sleep. It moves while you struggle. This current reveals more about you than any label ever could. I am Shi Heng Yi. In this video, I will guide you toward an understanding rarely spoken aloud. Blood, in ancient Shaolin thought, was never treated as mere substance. It symbolized movement, rhythm, and inner direction, not destiny, not superstition, essence in motion. When monks observed blood, they observed life itself responding to pressure, stillness, fear, and discipline. By the end of this journey, clarity will replace confusion. You will learn why personality is not fixed, why temperament is raw material, and why inner flow matters more than outer circumstance. You will understand how ancient practitioners trained awareness instead of fighting nature, and how responsibility quietly replaced blame inside temple walls. These teachings were preserved not in books, but in practice, silence, and observation across centuries. There is a reason few speak about this layer of self. It removes excuses, it demands presence, it invites mastery without force. Stay until the end, because the final insight ties every lesson together and shifts the way life itself appears, moment by moment. This space exists for those seeking depth beyond noise, discipline beyond motivation, and wisdom beyond trends. Welcome to Heng Yi Chronicles. Subscribe and walk this path with us. Stillness reveals a truth many overlook. Nothing in life stands still, not even you. In Shaolin teaching, blood was never spoken of as a sentence written at birth. It was observed as motion, as rhythm, as a quiet river carrying life through every breath and step. When monks watched blood, they did not ask what it meant. They watched how it moved, fast or slow, smooth or restless, calm or disturbed. I am Shi Heng Yi, and this understanding changes the way one lives. Blood flows whether you agree with it or not. When fear appears, it accelerates. When calm settles in, it steadies. This is not fate, this is response. Life responding to the state of the mind. Many people suffer because they fight this movement. They resist change, they cling to comfort, they tense against reality. In doing so, the flow becomes heavy, scattered, exhausting. Shaolin practice teaches alignment, not control. You do not command the river, you learn its direction. Through breath, posture, and awareness, the inner rhythm begins to harmonize. Circulation improves, decisions soften, strength emerges without aggression. This is why training begins with observation, before action, before belief, before identity. Continuity is another lesson hidden in blood. It never stops its duty, day or night, joy or grief. It teaches consistency without drama. Life asks the same from us, not perfection, not intensity, presence, again and again. When effort matches the natural flow, struggle loses its sharpness. Mastery is born the moment resistance fades. When you stop asking why life moves and begin asking how to move with it, in that alignment, energy stops leaking, attention sharpens, and what once felt chaotic reveals its pattern. Ancient teachings were never meant to be taken at the surface. They were shaped in symbols because truth matures slowly inside the observer. Blood, in this sense, was never used as a tool for prediction. It was a mirror placed before the practitioner, not to tell the future, but to reveal the present. Those who searched for certainty in labels missed the lesson entirely. In the old training halls, belief was not demanded, observation was. A monk was not asked what type he was, but how he responded when tired, when challenged, when praised, when ignored. These moments exposed far more than any category ever could. Reaction became the teacher, habit became the text, life itself became the classroom. Symbols exist to point inward. When blood was mentioned, it reminded the practitioner to watch the flow of attention, the rhythm of breath, the speed of thought. Does the mind rush ahead? Does it freeze under pressure? Does it scatter when confronted? These patterns matter, not the name attached to them. Discipline begins when fascination with labels ends. Inner mastery grows when excuses fall away. It is easy to hide behind identity. It is difficult to observe oneself honestly. Ancient wisdom always chose the difficult path because it leads to freedom. A mirror does not flatter, it reflects. Adaptation was valued more than certainty. Life changes its tempo without warning. Those trained only in fixed ideas struggle. Those trained in awareness adjust naturally. This is why teachings avoided rigid definitions. The practitioner was expected to evolve, not conform. What matters is not what one is called, but how one moves through the world, how one listens, how one responds, how one returns to balance after being disturbed. In this way, the mirror remains clear, and the path remains open. Within the quiet discipline of the Shaolin path, observation comes before judgment. Monks were taught to watch themselves as carefully as they watched the world. Over time, patterns revealed themselves. One student moved too quickly, always leaning into action before understanding. Another resisted, hesitating at every turn, holding back even when the path was clear. Another endured in silence, carrying weight without expression, mistaking endurance for strength. None of these tendencies were condemned, they were recognized. These patterns were understood as temperament, the natural shape of energy before refinement. Blood became a symbol for this inner tendency, not as a sentence, but as a starting point. Just as water flows differently across stone or sand, life moves differently through each person. Training begins by accepting this truth without attachment. A monk who rushed was not told to slow down by force. He was taught stillness. A monk who resisted was not pushed forward. He was taught trust. One who endured silently was not praised for suffering. He was taught balance. Discipline was applied like careful shaping, not breaking. Ancient teachers knew that forcing change created tension, but guiding awareness created transformation. Inner mastery grows from understanding one's default state. Under pressure, patterns surface. In fatigue, they reveal themselves. The Shaolin path trained practitioners to notice these moments without reacting. Awareness turned habit into choice. Choice turned tendency into skill. Temperament, left untrained, governs life unconsciously. Temperament, when understood, becomes a tool. This is why the teachings never chased uniformity. Strength came from harmony, not sameness. Each practitioner learned to work with their nature, not against it. In this way, blood as temperament was never destiny. It was the raw material from which discipline carved clarity and from which balance quietly emerged. In the old traditions, rejection was seen as a form of blindness. Nothing within the human experience was considered useless. Anger, fear, restlessness, these were not enemies to be defeated, but forces waiting to be understood. Shaolin practice did not ask a practitioner to erase these states. It asked them to study their weight, their direction, and their timing. Anger, when unobserved, burns wildly and leaves damage behind. When refined, it sharpens attention. It becomes precision. It teaches where boundaries must exist. Fear, when avoided, shrinks the world. When faced with awareness, it heightens perception. It keeps the mind present. It teaches respect for consequence. Restlessness, when resisted, creates frustration. When guided, it becomes vitality. It fuels movement, learning, and endurance. Training focused on transformation, not suppression. A monk was never told to be different, only to be conscious. Breathwork slowed impulses. Posture stabilized emotion. Repetition forged patience. Through these practices, raw states changed form without being destroyed. Energy remained, but direction shifted. Self-mastery in this path was subtle. It did not announce itself. It appeared in restraint during conflict, clarity during chaos, and steadiness during uncertainty. Refinement replaced force. Understanding replaced denial. Over time, the practitioner realized that nothing inside needed to be removed. It needed to be shaped. Ancient teachers understood that fighting oneself creates endless division. Refining oneself creates unity. This is why discipline was gentle yet relentless. Every state was welcomed as a messenger. Each carried information about imbalance, fatigue, or attachment. What one already carries inside is enough. When refined through awareness and practice, it becomes strength without hardness, calm without passivity, and power without violence. Mindfulness enters quietly, without demand or command. It does not rush to correct behavior. It watches. In Shaolin practice, this watching was considered the beginning of all change. Before strength, before endurance, before control, there was awareness. Breath was the first teacher. When it shortened, tension was present. When it scattered, the mind had already wandered. Nothing needed to be fixed. Everything needed to be seen. Posture followed the same principle. A collapsed body reflected a distracted mind. A rigid stance revealed inner resistance. By observing how the body held itself, practitioners learned how the inner flow responded to challenge. Pressure did not create weakness, it revealed it. Fatigue did not cause impatience, it exposed it. Reaction was the mirror. Through this steady observation, discipline grew naturally. No force was applied, no willpower was strained. Awareness softened the struggle. When one noticed agitation arising, it lost its grip. When fear was seen clearly, it stopped multiplying. Mindfulness removed the urgency to react, and in that pause, choice appeared. Ancient training relied on this pause. It was the space where refinement occurred, a moment where habit loosened and intention could enter. Over time, the practitioner learned to remain present even under strain. Breath stayed steady. Posture remained grounded. Reaction slowed. The inner flow adjusted without conflict. This was the quiet strength of mindfulness. It reshaped tendencies without violence. It disciplined without oppression. It taught that control is not imposed, but allowed. Awareness guided energy back into balance again and again. Through this method, life itself became training. Each difficulty offered insight. Each disturbance became instruction. Discipline grew not from force, but from clarity, steady and unshaken. Shaolin wisdom never treated nature as an unchangeable law. What a person believed about themselves was seen as provisional, not permanent, impulsive, passive, emotional. These were descriptions of habit, not truth. Habit bends. Nature responds to training. This understanding formed the backbone of discipline in the old halls. Daily structure was not designed to punish the body or suppress emotion. It was designed to educate them, rising at the same hour, repeating the same movements, returning to stillness again and again. These actions quietly reshaped the inner flow. At first, resistance appeared. The mind protested, the body complained. Yet over time, something softened. What once felt difficult became familiar. What once felt impossible became stable. Practice revealed a simple fact. Repetition teaches faster than belief. A person who thought they lacked patience discovered it through stillness. One who believed they were ruled by emotion learned composure through breath. Training did not argue with self-image, it replaced it with experience. The body provided constant feedback. Just as muscles adapt to consistent effort, the inner state adapts to rhythm. Discipline creates a container. Within it, energy settles. Focus sharpens, reaction slows. Nature does not resist this, it follows it. Ancient teachers trusted the process more than personality. They knew that structure outlasts motivation, that clarity grows from consistency, not inspiration. This is why training continued on ordinary days, not only when strength was high. Discipline in this sense was an act of respect toward life. It honored the possibility of change. It proved that no tendency is final and no label is absolute. Through daily practice, the inner flow learns a new direction, steady and enduring. Shaolin wisdom never treated nature as an unchangeable law. What a person believes about themselves is seen as provisional, not permanent. impulsive, passive, emotional. These are descriptions of habit, not truth. Habit bends. Nature responds to training. This understanding shaped discipline in the old halls, where change was proven through practice, not promised through words. Daily structure was not designed to punish the body or suppress feeling. It was designed to educate them, rising at the same hour, repeating the same movements, returning to stillness again and again. At first, resistance appeared. The mind argued, the body complained. Yet with time, something softened. What once felt heavy became familiar. What once felt unreachable became stable. Practice revealed a quiet truth. Repetition teaches faster than belief. A person convinced they lacked patience found it through stillness. One ruled by emotion discovered composure through breath. Training never debated self-image. It replaced it with experience. The body offered constant feedback. Just as muscles adapt to consistent effort, the inner state adapts to rhythm. Discipline creates a container. Inside it, energy settles, focus sharpens, reaction slows. Nature does not fight this process. It follows it. Ancient teachers trusted structure more than personality. They knew consistency outlasts motivation, that clarity grows from routine, not intensity. Training continued on ordinary days when enthusiasm was low and progress felt invisible. Discipline, in this way, became respect for life itself. It honored the possibility of change. It showed that no tendency is final and no label absolute. Through daily practice, the inner flow learns a new direction, steady and enduring. There comes a moment in practice when observation becomes understanding, and understanding becomes accountability. Life moves through every body, every mind, every breath. It does not ask permission, and it does not wait. Blood, energy, thought, they all circulate, whether you notice or not. Yet the path of mastery teaches a subtle truth. The flow itself is not the problem. How it moves through you, that is where responsibility begins. Excuses are easy. They hide behind nature, genetics, upbringing, or circumstance. They whisper that you cannot act differently, that you cannot choose. Shaolin wisdom teaches that such whispers are illusions. They are the shadow of unexamined habit. The moment a practitioner ceases to blame, the current becomes visible. The moment responsibility replaces excuse, power appears. This is not sudden or dramatic. It begins quietly. A mind stops pushing away discomfort. A body stops resisting training. A spirit stops blaming fate. Each small choice, holding attention when it wanders, breathing when fear arises, acting when hesitation appears, builds a current of integrity within. Discipline strengthens that current, shaping energy into conscious action rather than scattered reaction. In the old halls, this principle was reinforced daily. Monks faced rigorous routines, challenging drills, and silent observation. Failure was constant, yet blame was never useful. Instead, each stumble became feedback, each weakness became instruction. Responsibility was the tool that transformed repetition into mastery, effort into skill. Eventually, the practitioner learns that life is neither enemy nor obstacle. It is movement waiting for direction. And that direction is granted not by circumstances, not by past, not by inherited traits, but by conscious choice. Self-mastery begins when observation meets accountability, and the current of life becomes yours to guide with clarity, steadiness, and presence. Harmony is the quiet thread running through every teaching of the Shaolin path. It is neither absence of force nor surrender to weakness. Blood moves softly, yet it carries life with relentless persistence. This rhythm became the first lesson for those who trained within the halls. True strength is never loud, and calm is never fragile. The body and mind are mirrors of each other, and the way one flows reflects the other. In practice, extremes always reveal themselves quickly. The hurried student burns energy before understanding. The rigid one breaks under pressure. Shaolin masters taught that mastery lies not in suppression or indulgence, but in equilibrium. Every movement, every breath, every reaction was an exercise in balance. Softness met strength, patience met intensity, awareness met action. Blood flowing steadily through the body became a living metaphor, vitality tempered by control, energy shaped by stillness. The ideal state is not static. Calm without weakness means feeling tension without being consumed by it. Strength without aggression means exerting power without harming or dominating. These are not moral rules. They are principles of alignment. A practitioner learns to respond rather than react, to move rather than force, to act with precision rather than with impulsiveness. Ancient teachers often reminded students that imbalance is visible in small ways first. The way one stands, the way one breathes, the way one speaks. By cultivating harmony within, one begins to extend it outward. Decisions become clear, relationships become steady, obstacles no longer provoke chaos. Harmony, in this sense, is a constant practice, not a destination. It requires attentiveness to inner rhythm, respect for natural flow, and conscious refinement of every action. The lesson is simple yet profound. Life's force is strongest when it is balanced, and the path of mastery lies in moving gracefully between extremes, holding both calm and strength in quiet unity. Pressure is the quiet revealer of truth. In moments of conflict, fatigue, or loss, the inner currents of the mind and body are laid bare. Habits surface uninvited, impulses arise unfiltered, and patterns that were hidden in calm become impossible to ignore. These moments do not exist to punish, they exist to instruct. They are mirrors held up by life itself, showing where attention has been lacking and where refinement is needed. In the Shaolin halls, students learn to greet these challenges without fear or shame. Reaction was neither good nor bad, it was information. A hand raised in anger, a mind distracted by pain, a body stiffened by exhaustion, each revealed a doorway for learning. Judgment had no place, criticism was wasted energy. Observation, patience, and adjustment became the path forward. The masters taught that pressure is a teacher disguised as difficulty. It reveals the raw material from which discipline is forged. Through repeated exposure to such moments, awareness deepens. The mind begins to notice its own tendencies before they manifest outwardly. The body learns to remain grounded, even when the heart races. Breath, posture, and attention become tools to navigate turbulence rather than weapons to fight it. In this way, inner flow is strengthened, not forced. What once scattered under strain begins to move with purpose, steadiness, and clarity. The lesson extends beyond physical practice. Life's pressures, failure, loss, confrontation, are invitations to observe, to refine, to grow. Each challenge exposes the untrained corners of the self, and each response shapes the direction of energy. Mastery emerges not in escaping difficulty, but in meeting it with presence. The path of self-mastery is revealed in these moments, quietly teaching that struggle is not the enemy, but the forge in which awareness, resilience, and inner flow are tempered.